And not to stay on the volatile political side of it, but you made me think of it when you said you were rolling around with the cops. Was it cool to be with them during, because I would say the past 18 months for them, if you're a police officer, it's a pretty shitty profession, right? It's a shitty profession generally.
Yeah.
It's a very shitty profession. And you know, hats off to those individuals that choose to take that role.
100%.
If you developed a different relationship, like what was that like rolling with guys? Because I mean, that I got to imagine it's a very intimate, not only act, but then like afterwards, you guys are hanging out afterwards and talking. What was it like here?
I mean, I'm a big advocate for police officers. I think that what the work they do is incredible. I think that, you know, obviously, I think that some of the things that have gone down, right, like George Floyd, all that stuff, incomprehensible. Should be, you know, it was not okay. I mean, 100%, right, and that being said, not all police officers are bad.
Sure.
That situation was absolutely horrendous, and that officer needs to get, you know, the appropriate, you know, sentencing for it. But, you know, without police, without some type of respect there, it becomes very, I'm generally concerned about the future of our police system, because you're not having as many people apply for it because of all these bystanders who are sitting there filming. And they don't get the full picture. It's like how we started this thing with Matt Frazier podcast. You're filming 20 seconds of it, but you don't know the whole backstory of all that's going on and all the good that these police officers do. And yes, is there some racial, you know, yes, there's definitely issues and they need to get addressed. But to say that all police are bad, it's a very, very, and to say defund the police, it becomes a very, very difficult thing, because without them and with making the police, putting them in this perspective, I think can create a snowball effect that a lot of people don't know the byproduct of, meaning you're not going to get as good of candidates to go in there. And then once they are in there, they're not going to act on things as often because they don't want the liability, right? Like,
look what happened in Portland when they took over with Chaz or whatever that was, that like self-run, you know, when they took over City Hall down in Portland. I mean, it was an absolute, you know, that was like the mecca of the defund the police kind of thing. But it's, you know, here's the deal. I tell people, not every bad guy is a bad guy, and not every good guy, unfortunately, is a good guy. But it's also the inverse as well, right? It's like anyone else. Nobody wants to be painted with a broad stroke because the minority of people fucked up really bad. There's shitty people at every profession and every walk of life. There is someone driving Uber right now that is trafficking children. There is someone who's a priest who's doing something horrible. Like, there's people at all levels that are doing it great and then doing it poorly. I got buddies that are cops in Cleveland, and I remember, like, never have I read text messages that sounded more suicidal from people I knew that were not going to commit suicide, but it just sounded so fucking depressing.
Dude, the work they do is super important. And, you know, my whole thing would be with people who are like anti-police is try and be constructive in like, how can we enhance this? How can we make this better? For example, I donate a lot of my time to police in terms of enhancing their fitness. I'm not a subject matter expert in jiu-jitsu. I have a good background in it, but I am in fitness. How can I make an impact on them so that their fitness is at a higher level, so when they do respond to a call, they could feel more comfortable in their approach and not have to go to the more deadly weapons because they might feel more comfortable with their abilities? Or how do we get these police officers into jiu-jitsu where they could have more self-confidence to walk into a situation and de-escalate it instead of escalate it, right? Those are things that are within my control to try and help. But this concept of, you know, just sitting there on the sidelines and just kind of berating them and saying that they're all bad, it's very unfortunate, because there are a lot of really good people. And, you know, if something bad was happening to you in your life, who are you going to call? And those people are going to come, and they're going to get in harm's way. And if you've ever had the police show up and actually had to support you, I mean, you probably have a different outlook on it than, you know, I think that they deserve more support, and that we need to find ways to enhance their abilities versus just like, you know, just hate on them all the time.
Yeah.